do. So that's important to keep in mind. When you're enrolling them in ADP, depending on which class of employee they are, you'll see the rates that are applicable to those particular employees. We have a variety of ranges as far as knowledge and understanding of benefits. Our corporate office has about 90 employees, so you might find that their understanding is a little bit more fluent than it is out in the field, where you'll be talking to a lot of folks more in the maintenance type industry. We have groundskeepers, maintenance techs, property managers, leasing agents. They might have some more specific questions because they're not in direct contact with like human resources like our corporate staff is. And then on the hospitality side, we have a very diverse workforce there. You'll find a lot of Spanish-speaking folks, which I'm hoping they scheduled with your Spanish-speaking enrollers. We also have some employees that speak other languages as well, and our hope is that they're going to have somebody with them to help translate for their calls. A lot of the people that are non-English speaking, English is not their first language. You'll find most of them actually will be waiving most of their benefits, but we still want them to at least participate in the calls. So I think in a shell, that should pretty much explain most of our demographics.
Okay, thanks for that. So, so everyone, kind of my game plan here for this training, kind of how I do all of my trainings. We're going to go through the landing page and the benefits first, and then we can get into navigation of the systems. So in this example, we have ADP, where you will log in as an administrator with hopefully the credentials you received. I know that Sue did not receive hers and was looking, Deanna was going to get that corrected. For my enrollment team, we set everyone up with, or we requested credentials for everyone for ADP. Did anyone not receive your credentials for ADP?
I have not, Scott. This is David.
David Alvarado, okay.
Scott, this is Eric. I don't think I got mine either, but my old ones may work.
Eric Braxton. Nah, it won't work here, Eric.
It won't? Okay.
So. Did anyone else?
Eric White did not get his either.
Weidenbach, okay, thank you.
You should have gone to your email. Did you all check your email?
Mm-hmm.
It would be the email that we use for you guys. That's what we gave them. So check your spam folder, check your junk email, please.
I'll check on the timer, but if it's not there, I'll let you know.
Okay. So everyone else has received their login information. Good. Excellent. And then we'll get into Plane later. Plane.biz, very easy to navigate. So Amy has done a fantastic job of creating this video for us that I put in the invitation for this meeting. This one is 25 minutes. The other one, the waiver video, is not as long, but I looked through these. I went through these in detail. This is very self-explanatory. It's very easy to understand how to navigate. I had a couple questions which we'll get into later, but those are out there. We can review these here. It might be beneficial since I'm recording this. Let's do it here. If anybody has questions about it while we're all here in the same place, we might just do that. I'll just play it and let it run. And then Plane.biz is pretty easy. So let's get into the landing page. So I try to keep everything in one place when we do these trainings. So everything is in the calendar invite for this training. The links to the two ADP videos, the plain.biz link, and then the actual landing page here as well. The link to the ADP site, Deanna, did we distribute that? I don't recall. Well, I know one thing. When we start to get to the video, it's right up there in the bar. So we'll get to that in a second. If I didn't include it in the invite, then we'll address that to make sure you're going to the right place. But it's pretty easy. All right, so let's get into benefits. So this is one of two online schedulers that went out to the employees because they have two separate companies, technically. So Morgan Communities and Morgan Management. They're identical, though. They say exactly the same thing. Click to make an appointment. So if you call someone, they made an appointment, you call them, and they say, you know, I made this appointment, I can't do it, I need to, what are my options? They can go make another appointment. So there's two ways of doing that. They can come to the landing page and click on schedule an appointment, or they can call our scheduling phone number, which is here in the middle of the page, and we'll make the appointment for them. Or for whatever reason, you're in the middle of enrollment and they have to leave, they have to go back to work, or whatever the situation is, they should make another appointment in order to finish their enrollment. So enrollment period, October 23rd to November 10th, telephonic enrollment, benefit counselor, new benefits, Unum specified disease, also known as critical illness, and the accident plan, and Healthy Paws pet insurance discount program. So I like these landing pages. I think they're beneficial to employees and employers, but they're very helpful for training purposes too. Everything is in one place, so you're not tracking down a bunch of documents. So we have a couple of medical plan options here. And Amy, feel free to stop me, or Julie, feel free to stop or contribute extra words to this. But pretty basic coverages here. I don't see anything that is that unusual. So 3 medical plans, signature hybrid PPO plan. So this is kind of the benefits summary document for Excelis. So we have the deductibles in and out of network. So we have 1 person, 2 person, and family. So it depends on how many they're covering as to what the deductible is. Each individual deductible does not exceed the single deductible. And then, excuse me, in network, the coinsurance is 20%. So once you meet your deductible, you are responsible for 20% afterwards. And then,
hey, Scott, can I interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Just one thing about that that's different than the high deductible, and just as a refresher, it is an embedded deductible rather than aggregate. So if you have a 2-person or a family plan, each person is responsible for that deductible. Meaning if it's a 2-person, each person has their own $500. It can't be met by 1 person.
Yes, good point. Embedded.
Okay, versus the high deductible plans, which is an aggregate number.
Across all covered. Okay, so
if I was going into the hospital for a surgery and I have a 2-person plan, my deductible myself is $500, and once I've met that, then I would transition to co-insurance. If my spouse had an event, he too would have that same $500 deductible, and then he would transition to his own co-insurance of 20%.
okay, good to know. And I believe it is in these documents somewhere. I didn't write that part down. Annual out-of-pocket maximum, again, per person. $30 copay for the primary physician in network, and $50 for a specialist. Out of network, you can see that always out-of-network benefits are going to be less desirable than in-network benefits. And then this is just basic information. There is no annual maximum on the plan. It's unlimited. Children, kids copay age limit 19.
Yeah, so if you see the drug rider has free generics to kids age 19. A lot of this stuff right here, Scott, really is from a training perspective isn't necessarily important.
Yeah. I see that. Doesn't really apply.
I'll just add, like, a lot of this, if they go into too much depth into these different, specific details, it's a foreign language to these employees. It really is.
Yeah, it'll be confusing.
Yeah, we want to keep it as simple as possible. I would say if they ask more specific questions about something, if something's covered or not, then you would want to pull this out and show them. But otherwise, They're really looking for how much does it cost me, who does it cover, and, what's my deductible, what's my HRA, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. 20%. Outpatient facility. Yeah, this is a lot of information. 14 pages, actually. So it's there for your reference. But the bottom line is they have the $500 deductible. It's an embedded deductible and 20% coinsurance afterwards.
Your drug rider is 3-tier structure, so generics are $5, brand name drugs are $35, and preferred brand are $70. So depending upon, obviously, which tier the drug may fall in would determine the copay they make. I think it's important to note, if anybody asks, that all copays, coinsurance, and copays for prescription drugs apply towards the out-of-pocket maximum.
Copays for prescriptions as well.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through to see if there's anything else here.
Simply stated, the hybrid is really, a defined copayment, except for where it says subject to coinsurance. Typically, that's inpatient, outpatient, durable medical equipment, things of that nature. Everything else has a defined copay, ER, office visits, specialist visits, things of that nature.
And the copays for the drugs again were
$5 is generic, $35 is your tier 2 brand name drugs, and the $70 are those more expensive preferred brand.
Right.
Tier 3.
Okay.
Important to note on this plan too, there is no preventive drug rider like there is on the other two, and that's because it already has a 3-tiered structure as it is.
Okay. So medical signature, $2,600, $5,200 deductible, high deductible health plan with preventive RX.
When you get to these two high deductible plans, it's really important to point out the health reimbursement account. I know it's not really spelled out on this landing page, but really that's the most attractive thing about these two plans, is that they get that free money to spend for their out-of-pocket costs.
Right. So $2,600 for the employee, $5,200 for employee or person. Could be employee and child or employee and spouse. For the deductible, and this is going to be 15-page document here, so 20% coinsurance. So you must meet your deductible, and then the co-insurance kicks in. You're responsible for 20%, but the HRA helps to fill the gap there with the deductible.
So the HRA, single people get a $1,300 first dollar HRA contribution, and families, defined as 2 or more people, is $2,600.
Mm-hmm. And
Important to note, though, too, on this is the difference. I know we kind of spelled a little bit regarding in and out of network, but when you're on a high deductible plan, anybody that goes out of network, they're going to have buckets that run parallel to each other. So if a single person has an in-network claim, it's going to apply towards their in-network deductible bucket. But if for some reason they seek treatment that's out of network, those dollars are going to actually accumulate in a separate out-of-network bucket. So, for example, a single person potentially could have, $5,800 of deductible expense or deductible exposure. So really important that folks are using in-network benefits, which typically is the case, but just so that folks know that there is additional exposure there. And again, that deductible for 2-person or family is an aggregate number. It can be met by one person or by a combination of members covered under the health plan.
okay. And on the HRA, do they get a debit card or something?
They do.
They do. And it's
Yes. Oh, and also another thing to add, if they already have that debit card, the HRA debit card is from Lifetime Benefits, they need to keep that because the money for next year is just going to be added to their existing card.
okay.
They won't get it.
They won't get a new one.
Right.
Okay.
Now, is it an HSA or an HRA?
HRA.
It says HSA over here on the right. And
Where?
there's some additional information. Lower cross, which says HSA versus HRA. On the right-hand side, it says HSA. Am I reading that right?
Right here.
Oh, yeah, yeah, don't worry about that. It should say HRA. They do not, neither plan with Morgan, nobody has access to a health savings account, only a health reimbursement account.
Okay, you got it.
And what are the script copays here? I don't see it in here.
Okay, so let's go over that because that can be a little tricky. So let's exclude the preventive drug rider first.
Okay.
So prescription medications, while you are in your deductible phase, you are paying the cost of your prescription drug.
The whole cost.
The whole cost, while you are meeting or satisfying your deductible responsibility. If you meet your deductible, if you satisfy either your single or your family deductible, you are then transitioned to the same 3-tier drug copays of $5, $35, or $70 for tier 1, 2, and 3 drugs. So while you're in the deductible phase, you're paying for the cost of the drug. If you satisfy your deductible, you then transition to the $5, $35, or $70 copay.
Okay.
To add another layer, we have what's called a preventive drug rider. And that preventive drug rider is, on the landing page, there's a updated list. If an employee or member takes any of the drugs that are listed on the preventive drug list, that means they are not subject to the deductible. So those preventive drugs are things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, perhaps reflux. There's diabetic insulins and supplies. There is asthma drugs. So if it's on the list, it's not subject to deductible. So on January 2nd, if I go to the pharmacy and my prescription drug is on that drug list, I make a copay. So it is not subject to the deductible. If it's not on the list, it is subject to deductible. Diabetic insulins and supplies. So if you have somebody that is on the phone with you and they tell you that they are a diabetic, it is important to note that diabetic insulins and supplies are covered at 20% coinsurance and not a copay on this plan. So if somebody is taking $100 worth of insulin script, they're going to pay $20 for that instead of the full $100. So they are getting reprieve. It's just covered at 20% coinsurance. All of the other medications on that list outside of insulin and supplies are covered at $5, $35, or $70. Most often, people that kind of are hesitant to come on board to a high deductible plan is because they're taking prescription medications. So this is absolutely a benefit for members because it does give them that reprieve for a copay versus the cost of the drug while they're satisfying that deductible.
Julie, do they have access to the formulary at this point to see which category it falls in?
Yeah, Amy, you put that out on ADP, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
From January.
And it's very simple. It's either on the list or it's not. If it's not on the list, it's subject to the deductible. If it's on the list, it is not subject to deductible.
Okay. And then we have the higher plan.
Right.
With preventive RX as well, and I'm sure this is lower premium. 5,500, 11,000. Does this work exactly the same as the previous plan?
So it does, except to say on this plan, there is no coinsurance. You'll see that your, scroll down a little bit, you'll see that your deductible and your out-of-pocket maximum are the same number. So single, 5,500, 5,500 out-of-pocket max, and same for families, 11,000.
Right.
So on this plan, if and only if they satisfy their deductible, they're actually covered in full for the remainder of the year, regardless of when they hit it. So if somebody had a heart attack and they're single on the plan, they're going to hit their $5,500 deductible in probably 20 minutes, and they're done for the whole year, both for drugs and for medical expenses.
Okay.
On this plan, there's also the preventive drug rider. So while they are satisfying that deductible, they're paying for the cost of their prescription meds. There is no 3-tiered drug tier on this plan. All of their prescriptions and medical services count towards their deductible. The preventive drug list applies to this plan as well. It does work a little differently. On this plan, if it's on the list, including diabetic insulin and supplies, it's covered in full. No 3-tier drug copays.
If it's on the preventive list, this one.
Correct. You got it.
Ah.
If it's on the list, they're paying for the cost. If it is on the list, it's covered in full. So if you have somebody who is extremely healthy and they're looking for ways to save money and their costs come more from the pharmacy side than they do the medical side, and that drug is on the list, this might be a perfect plan for them.
Okay.
Honestly, with a $1,300 HRA, this plan is actually really good for most people, unless they know they have a major surgery or something coming up next year.
Mm-hmm.
Very
exactly.
Okay. And if they do know that, they would probably select the PPO anyway, right?
And is the HRA allocation on day one or spread equally by month?
On day one.
Day one, and it's limited to the benefits that are covered under the health plan only.
And Scott, to your question, honestly, no. We have the better off, worse off comparison. and no matter how much you break it down, the most exposure for cost is the hybrid plan. No matter.
Okay.
Yeah, because the premium is so much more expensive, and you don't have the HRA to offset any costs.
Right.
They actually have more out-of-pocket exposure too. So, by way of contribution strategies, Scott, we've created an environment where folks are, based on their actual claims, are better off in the high deductible plan.
Okay.
Where do I find the rates?
The rates
So,
are in ADP, right, Amy?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so when you're actually enrolling the employee, you'll see the rates as you're doing it. But if you scroll up a little bit on this landing page, there's that little red link for the medical plan rates. This is for non-managers, so this is for just regular hourly full-time employees. We don't post the manager rates, but I can tell you that the manager rates, they pay less. They have a higher employer contribution towards their premiums. We could send that to you guys if you wanted it, just so you have it. But it will show it to you when you're enrolling the person in ADP. They also have the information. It's all been disseminated to them if they're a manager.
All right. Any questions? And then they have a flexible spending account. You all know how this works. Pre-tax dollars set aside for medical expenses, lifetime benefit solutions. It looks like the administrator for FSA and HSA here.
HRA, yep.
HRA, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And this is just simply for the employee to show them where they can go to look at their account balances and submit claims.
Mm-hmm.
You do the enrollment in ADP for that.
Right.
And what's the amount up to the maximum amount?
$2,600.
Okay.
And then $5,000 for dependent care. You'll want to make sure they really understand the difference between the dependent care and the medical care too. We've had a few people enroll in the wrong one.
Yeah. We have two Guardian buttons here because we have non-Texas employees and Texas employees. Plan designs are slightly different. So let's go to non-Texas.
The only difference between the Texas and non-Texas is a dental benefit.
Okay.
So basically, they mirror each other.
So this is sorry, go ahead.
They cost the same. It's just that people in Texas have a richer dental benefit.
Okay. All right. So this is a 28-page document here, so I'll try to stick on the high levels for you. Two dental plans, low and high. Weekly premiums are displayed. Calendar year deductible. The calendar year deductible is waived for preventive services, which include things like your oral examinations and cleanings and x-rays. Falls under preventive. Covered at 100% with no deductible. 180 and 0 on the low plan, so no coverage for major services. We'll get some descriptions of that. Usually it's things like crowns. Basic care would be like a filling, tooth extraction, covered at 80%. Out-of-network benefits as well. And then we have 100, 160, and orthodontia on the high plan. Also, the annual benefit is double on the high plan, which is, I don't know that I've ever seen one that high. That's pretty good. Maximum rollover. So maximum rollover not at all on the low plan and is possibility on the high plan. Julie, help me with this. So the threshold.
So they have an opportunity, if they don't exceed the threshold of 500, $200, 250 of that may be rolled over into the next year's benefit, or 350 if for in-network. The maximum account limit that they can accumulate is $1,000.
Okay, so if they didn't use their whole $1,000 or whatever their maximum is this year or for the coming year, let's say they only used $200 of it, they could roll over some funds into next year's maximum, basically.
Correct. It's an incentive for the member to stay enrolled in the plan.
Gotcha.
So that they accumulate a larger maximum benefit.
Okay.
And like health insurance, it covers into age 26.
Right. No orthodontia on the low plan, and $1,000 lifetime max for orthodontia on the high plan. Is orthodontia just for children here?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know it sounds silly, but I do talk to a lot of members. That $2,000 benefit, or the $1,000 on the low plan, that's per covered person on the plan. It's not an aggregate number for the family.
Wow. That's great. Here's some examples of those coverages. So low and high.
We're on the Texas one?
This is non-Texas.
Non-Texas.
Okay. So this is the part where that differs a little bit for the Texas people, just so you're aware. Their percentages of what's covered and what's not is slightly different.
Okay. So cleaning's 100%, filling's 80%. You guys get the drift here, depending on the plan. Davis Vision. So there's only one plan option, $10 eye exam, $25 copay for materials, pretty standard. In-network benefits, way better than out-of-network, as is mostly the case. So after you meet your copay, no cost for the eye exam or the lenses. That's all included in your copay. Frames, you have $135 allotment for frames, which is pretty standard as well. You can get contact lenses in lieu of frames, in lieu of glasses, also $135 allotment for that. You're responsible for anything over that, but you can buy up. And the frequency here is once every year for the eye exam, once every year for lenses, and 2 years for frames. Again, pretty standard stuff. Okay, life insurance. So basic life.
Scott?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
When would it be easiest, or when would it make most sense to talk about EVI? Do you want to do it per line, or do you want to do it as a kind of a separate entity?
Well, let me run through the life products here, and then let's talk about
You got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so basic life insurance is employer paid, $10,000 for all full-time employees. Does that include managers?
It does, and everyone that's going to be on the call for open enrollment should already automatically be enrolled in this.
Right.
The only thing you'll want to double check is to see if they have a beneficiary assigned to it.
Yeah, I saw that in your training video that your example didn't have one, so you clicked over and completed it. Okay. Basic life includes accidental death, which is equal to 1 time, so it's $10,000. or $20,000 if it's an accident. And it's only for the employee. Voluntary life, they can purchase voluntary term life insurance, in income rates of $25,000 for the employee, employee, spouse, or children. So with dependents, we have to be careful of some things here because of maximums. So it says for the employee, spouse, children coverage, maximum one times life amount. That's for the accidental death. So the accidental death is equal to 1 times, just like it is on the basic life. Spouse, domestic partner benefit, one of the options below. And of course, the rates are in the system. Child benefit, 14 days to 26 years, $1,000 increments up to $10,000. Guarantee issue. So for the employee, it is $150. For the spouse, it's $12,500, and the children, $10,000. So now let's talk about EOI. So
Okay.
in the system, Amy, employees are already enrolled in this program, but in our enroller training guide, they have some options. Actually, let me bring that up. Go ahead, Julie.
So for for all three, voluntary life, voluntary STD, and voluntary LTD, okay? Like we said, all of the people who are in the system are either enrolled or not enrolled in it. So if it is just the rules, new hires or acquisitions, they are not subject to EOI if they are enrolling for the first time. There is a 90-day waiting period, but again, probably is not going to apply to any of these people. If they are late entrants, so if they waived enrolling in the voluntary life, obviously they are subject to EOI. There is no annual open enrollment for voluntary life. So all increases or new elections outside of their new hire eligibility are subject to EOI.
Okay, so let's back up 1 second. Acquisitions. So there is a new acquisition happening now.
Right, but let's just say they're closing today. That means today is their effective date for all their benefits. So everyone that you talk to that is only enrolling for open enrollment for January 1st, none of those people are going to be within their new hire benefit period. Everybody that's
already enrolled.
Yes. So if they don't already have a voluntary life insurance plan or a short-term or long-term disability plan, they will have to do the evidence of insurability form.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Got that?
Right. And it applies if someone is already enrolled, but they want to increase their amount over the guaranteed issue amounts, they'll also have to fill out the EOI.
And the EOI, as we talked about this during the setup, the EOI is in the system. The employee can go back in and log in after you've enrolled them and download or print that document.
Yes.
But
For the voluntary,
it's up to you to tell them that they need it because they're not going to know otherwise.
Right.
Sorry, Julie, go ahead.
That's okay. Any employee already enrolled in the voluntary STD or LTD, they do have the ability to step up one level in coverage without evidence of insurability.
Right.
As long as their salary allows it.
Yes.
Correct.
And that is clearly described in Amy's video as well. Okay, so let me go back to the life here for a second. Spouse coverage for the voluntary term life, I read somewhere, is capped at 50% of the employee's election.
Correct.
So it's not right here readily, but and independent or child coverage is capped at 10% of employees' election. So
Correct.
there are some enroller monitored items, and that is definitely one of them. The system doesn't flag you. Well, actually, it's a question for Amy. Can you technically enroll a spouse without enrolling an employee in voluntary life?
The system will let you do that, yeah, but
So that is something we have to watch out for.
yeah, so they can only have child or spouse life if they're enrolled in the voluntary life, employee life.
Okay. Will the system allow you to enroll in more than 50% of employee coverage for the spouse?
Yes.
Okay, so that's two enroller monitored things. And then the third thing, of course, is who needs an EOI? It's not going to alert you in the system when someone needs an EOI and when they don't. So it's up to you to identify that and notify the employee. The other thing, well, we haven't gotten into disability yet, but so let's go there actually. Several rates here. Okay, here we go. So short-term disability and long-term disability. So you choose your weekly benefit amount, $200 to $1,500. The maximum benefit period is 26 weeks for the short-term disability, and it's a 7-day waiting period. So 26 weeks. The cap for the short-term disability is 60% of the employee's salary. The system, where is it? It's not in here. The system does not cap that. The system is just kind of open with all of the benefit levels. So it is up to you, based on the employee's salary, to make sure that you do not exceed 60% of their salary when you elect coverage for them. So that's another enroller monitored thing. So STD benefit, spouse life, 50%.
Yep, and the easiest way to figure this out is use the charts that are in this Guardian booklet. Look up the employee's annual salary and then find their salary on the charts, and that'll tell you which coverage levels they're eligible up to.
Right, and that chart, it's in the video. So we'll show the video because we should. The chart.
It's the page after page too.
Yeah.
What's that? I didn't hear that.
It's the page right after this page.
Oh, okay. All right, LTD, same thing. You cannot exceed their benefit amount that they're supposed to get. Long-term disability has a 6-month waiting period, and then it pays until normal Social Security retirement age.
There is no pre-X on the STD, Scott.
Yeah, I saw that. Not applicable. And short-term disability, maternity. Any exclusions for maternity on STD?
Amy, it's treated like every other disability, correct?
Yep, it's usually 6 or 8 weeks.
Okay. Comes up a lot. Okay, so yeah, this is the document. This is an ADP? Is this an ADP?
Yep.
Okay, I thought so. All right, so this shows me the benefit amount based on the person's salary, and then the cost based on their age. but this is the most important part here. So if they make if they make 25,000, if they make 25.5, they can't get 300. They have to get to 200. You have to default them to the lower one.
Correct.
No rounding up here, right?
Yep. And they don't have, so if I make $50,000 a year, I'm eligible for the 500, 400, 300, or 200. I don't have to get
Yeah,
the
you
one
don't
right
have to get that one. You can get lesser amount.
Yep.
I'm going to try to carve this information out and copy and paste it or something and send it to everyone so that you don't have to click around to get it. All right, so that is,
And this is the LTD chart. Same concept. The only difference is it's a monthly benefit. It's not a weekly benefit.
right. So minimum annual salary, and the salary's in the system as well. We'll see that in the video here.
Yes.
All right, so that is basic life, voluntary term life, short-term and long-term disability. Now that's non-Texas. In Texas, the only difference there was the dental benefits. They're slightly different.
Yep.
All right. Specified disease is Unum's critical illness. Now this is just a brochure. It's kind of basic information. I have the plan document as well that I included, or excuse me, the proposal that I included in the training document as well. $50 wellness benefit, heart attack, stroke, cancer, etc. And then the rates, of course, two options on the critical illness, 10 and 20, 10 and 20,000. There is a 6 pre-X on this product. So they're going to look back 6 months for any pre-existing conditions. If there are any that they're filing a claim on here, then that benefit would not be payable for 6 months after the effective date. 6 pre-X. $50 wellness. There is a 30-day waiting period on this product as well after the effective date, which is 1/1. Where is that on my screen here? There it is. Okay, so the accident plan on and off the job. Obviously, this works on a fee schedule. The premiums, this is not a whole lot of information. The actual, there it is. There's a schedule. So you all know how this works. It's if you're involved in an accident, it pays on a fee schedule. You basically take all of your claims, add them up, compare it to this schedule, and send you a check to help you with your expenses. Hospital admission is $1,000. Hospital confinement $165 a day up to a year, and pretty cut and dry on the accident plan.
24-hour coverage?
What's that?
Is that 24-hour coverage?
Yes, it is on and off the job. I think it says it here in the front. But it's in the proposal for sure. It's on and off.
All right.
Pet insurance discount program. Amy, this is not a line item in the system, is it?
No, this is really just a discount program. So if you go through the brochure here, you'll see that employees have to, I believe, click on a link or call to enroll themselves. They'll be receiving this information too in their benefit guide that I hope we can send out tomorrow.
Okay. Accident.
So really, this is just to point out that it's available to them and what they need to do to enroll if they choose.
Ah, there it is.
And Amy, you put a custom text question in ADP, right?
For pet insurance?
Did you
No.
put the link? Is it, no? Okay.
Well, the link I can put on the home page, but it's not part of the benefit enrollment thing because there's no payroll.
Gotcha.
Is there a premium fee?
Yeah, when you go on the website, you put in, if you have a dog, a cat, their size, their age, that sort of thing, where you live, and then based on all that information, it generates a premium.
Okay.
Each individual pet is individually underwritten.
Okay. All right, so that's it for the products in the landing page. Let's go into Plane for a second here, because I want to review this, and then we'll go into the videos. So it's plane.biz. I inserted the link, and so there's two ways of logging in. If you log into this username and password, this is the live case. Don't go in there until you're ready to enroll on Monday or later. And then there's a demo instance of this as well for demonstration purposes. Now, what was my password? Okay. Well, it's going to pull up every case that you have ever been associated with Unum. This is for case for demo only. So if you're enrolling a live person, you know you're in the wrong place. I have two options here, call center and case manager. You're going to not have that. This is just the enrollment setup. It just has everything. I just click confirm on my signature, hit continue, and it puts me straight into the employee search box here. You can pull up employees by last name or social. I would recommend last name. And let's see if we have any Adams. No Adams. Jones, bunch of Joneses. So this works kind of like our system works, where it has the employee and then the status. So I went in and did this one earlier today to make sure I can navigate through. So let's pull up Carly here. The first screen is the information populated from the census data. Everything with the little orange asterisk is required. Everything is populated except two items, occupation and hours per week. Once you get that information in, then it pushes you into the enrollment screen where you have the two options, accident and specified disease. If you've already had the discussion, you've told them what it is, they have absolutely no interest at all, you can just click opt out for both products and then sign it. If you can't remember exactly what the accident plan is or covers, you can go to learn. You can, from any of these screens, you can also go back or opt out.
If you've ever sprained an ankle, broken a bone, or needed stitches,
this little video or audio that runs.
Even with health.
Catastrophic benefit, that's accidental death, $100,000 for the employee, $50,000 for spouse, and so on. So you can click through all these screens, or you can just refer to the documents we just reviewed, which I would recommend. Actively at work, they have to be actively at work in order to purchase the product. And then here's the tiers, just me, myself, my children, and so on. You can add a spouse here, or I'm just going to choose employee only, $263 a week. Are you eligible for Medicare? No. And then This hangs up people all the time because they'll try to get through here and they can't because they didn't add a beneficiary. So there's no one here, so I have to add the beneficiary. All I need is a name, though, in a relationship. Probably not at all right. If you have the other information, you can put it in there. You have to check the box, it has to say 100%. You can add another beneficiary and split it. You can do two. You can do primaries and contingents. You can do anything you want there. This is the documentation they're going to receive with their policy. You have to check the box to proceed. This is a summary of everything they did, $2.63. When I click sign, it says that it's voice authorized, and I hit confirm. You can send them an email confirmation if you want to, or if they want to. Critical illness has some questions, so these also sometimes hang people up. Have you used any tobacco products in the last 12 months? Are you looking to replace or modify any Unum coverage? Are you eligible for Medicare? Is the purpose of this application to increase existing Unum coverage? No, they don't have any. Do you have either major medical health insurance, basic hospital, or basic medical expense? That's going to be a yes. Because if you say no, they can't get it. It's a requirement. Do all persons to be insured have any other critical illness policies in force? If the answer is yes, they can't get that either. And there's two options, 10 and 20. Weekly premiums with cancer. So actually what happens, this is a little trick. When I clicked on that button, the cancer question came up. Do all persons to be insured have any cancer pending or in force? Cancer policies we're talking about. So that wasn't there until I clicked the premium button. Just, be honest. If they have it, then say yes. And they won't be able to get this one. Check here if you have a dependent children, no additional premium. But I'm not going to go in there. It's just more questions. Add spouse. If you want to add the spouse, it adds some premium. But otherwise, you hit next. Now this says your requested coverage will be available only if enough employees meet Unum's minimum participation in application requirement. That's not going to be a problem here. We're seeing every single employee, so as long as we offer them this, then we'll meet the minimum requirement.
So if people waive their medical insurance, I'm assuming this product wouldn't even be offered to them. Is that correct?
Yes, they wouldn't be able to get through that question. If they say no, I don't have health insurance, they kicks them out.
But I'm saying when you start the enrollment process, I'm assuming you start with the medical and that sort of thing. If you already know that they're waiving the medical insurance, let me ask this: what if they have medical insurance, it's just not through Morgan?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with their employer sponsored plan. It's any plan.
Okay.
So it's not automatically that if they waive the medical, we kind of, because they can have coverage elsewhere, a lot of people do. So we kind of go through the process. This is a summary of everything we just did here. Sign it. Email confirmation if they want. Hit confirm. Now you're not done. This says complete. This says complete. This says not signed. So you still have to finish it by doing that, which is still the same thing. Summary of everything, $4.27, and we're good. You hit back, and you're finished with this employee. Everything's green, everything's signed, and you can log out two ways. You can go over here to the left-hand side and log out. You can come up to the top right and log out. But regardless, you have to log out of the employee, which logs you out of the system too. So if I go back in, I have to go all the way back in. If I go back into the enrollment, that person is, Carly is now complete enrollment status. That's how you know you're finished. You've done it right. So let's get into the videos and make this bigger here.
Scott, this is Amy. Would I be able to get login credentials for Unum so if people, maybe they miss their enrollment or whatever through the call, I can do it?
I don't think so. We will check, but I believe you have to be a licensed agent to get access. If you have anybody that's like that, just refer them to Deanna and we'll take care of it.
Okay.
We'll check. They might, but I don't believe so.
You are going to send us those logins, right?
Yes, sir.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Amy Sansone, and I work in the HR department at Morgan Management.
Can you all hear
I'm
that?
going to show you all how to enroll an employee in their benefits. The first thing you need to do is go to the login screen of ADP Workforce Now. You've all been given administration rights, so what you have to do is click on User Login, Admin Login.
I'm going to stop that for a second. Let me back up. So it's workforcenow.adp.com. Takes you to this screen. And I'll send you that link.
On User Login, Admin Login. Once you get to the screen, you're going to put in your user ID. Hit submit. And then the next step will be to enter in your password. Hit submit again. Once you get into the system, the first page that you should be seeing is the home page. On this home page, there's a few things that I do want to point out to you all so that you can show employees if they need to find some information. To start with, over on the right-hand side, you'll notice this is where we have our links to schedule the open enrollment calls. And then in addition to that, we have the open enrollment landing page. So this has the landing page that Ben Aware put together, which contains all of the information for our benefits. The only thing that is not on this page as of right now is the rates for the 2018 medical plans. Below that, you'll see another box that says benefit information in it. Right now, we have the 2017 benefit guides. We will be uploading the 2018 benefit guides onto this page, and it'll go right above the 2017 guide. So you're likely going to have employees ask you for this information, so you can direct them right to this page. In addition to the home page, we also have some other benefit information on the Resources tab. So if you come back up here to the top and click Resources, and then go to Forms Library, on this page you'll see there's a lot more forms and information regarding each benefit. Most of this is also located on the landing page, but just in case somebody's looking for something else, they can find it here. The main thing that you might have to find is the evidence of insurability form. So if you have an employee that is enrolling in the voluntary life insurance or short-term or long-term disability, and it's, they're outside of their new hire benefit period, they would have to submit an evidence of insurability form. In addition, if someone is electing voluntary life insurance that's over the guaranteed issue amount, they would also need to print and fill out this evidence of insurability form and send it over to Human Resources. The guaranteed issue amount for voluntary employee life is $150,000, and for spouse life it is $12,500. So any amounts over that, they have to fill out this form. So now we're going to go right into finding the employee that we want to enroll and then going over to their benefits. So the example I'm going to use, the employee's name is Patrick Cooper, and in this particular example, his benefit eligibility date is October 16th. When you guys are doing this, you'll be doing it for open enrollment, so you'll be selecting the January 1st, 2018 effective date. So to find the person that I need, I'm just going to click on the People tab up here at the top, and then I'm going to go right over to Benefits, and then I'm going to click on Enrollment. Now, as I said, we're looking for Patrick Cooper. By default, the system takes you to the first person in our alphabet, and in our case, it's William Abbott. So in order to get to Patrick Cooper, I have to type in his name in this employee search box. If you have trouble finding an employee when you use this search box, you will want to make sure that under the employee search, where it says current list, you show all employees with future hire dates. If you have one of these other options selected, it will limit your search field. So again, always leave it on all employees with future hires. So I'm going to select that. Once you select that once, it should stay. It won't change on you unless you change it. And in the search options, or in the search box, I'm going to type Cooper for the last name. And once I do that, I'm going to pick Patrick Cooper, because this is who we're going to be enrolling. We do have a few employees, maybe a dozen or so, that have similar names or same names. Some are junior, senior, things like that. My recommendation would be to verify the employee's last 4 digits of their social security number when you're on the phone with them, just to make sure that you have the correct person. We have a lot of family members that work within the company, so there's actually quite a few names that are the same. So once you find your person, we're on enrollments. It's going to take you to a page that looks like this. By default, all the full-time employees should automatically have the Employee Basic Life $10,000 coverage. Now, I'm noticing that this person does not have a beneficiary assigned, which means that before I do anything, I need to put their beneficiary information into the system. So to do that, I'm going to go back up to People and over to Dependents and Beneficiaries. Now, ideally, we would like all of our employees to have a beneficiary, at least one, assigned in the system. So if you see employees with life insurance that don't have beneficiaries, please ask them for that information so that you can add it. So in this case, I'm going to just click Add. And for the purposes of this employee, I'm only going to select beneficiary only, because this person has elected both their wife and their mother as beneficiaries, but they're not putting their wife on any other benefit plans. So I don't need to choose dependent and beneficiary because it's a beneficiary only. If this was a person that was electing, for example, their spouse, and their spouse was also going to be going on their medical plan or dental plan, I would then choose dependent and beneficiary. Since this is a beneficiary only, I pick that one, and then I hit Continue. And on this page, you only have to fill in the required fields, and those are the ones that have the little tiny red asterisk after them. I usually do the first name, last name, and relationship, because those are required. Most of the time, I usually do gender as well, just because it's an easy one. So in this case, we have Diane Lloyd. It is a female. It is Patrick's wife. So I have those fields entered. I'm assuming they live in the same house. And then I hit Done. So there's my first beneficiary. Now on his form that I have in front of me, he also has his mother listed as a beneficiary. So I'm going to add her as well. So I'm just going to hit Add again, select beneficiary only, hit Continue. And his mother's name is Dolores Cooper. female. The relationship is mother. Scroll down again. Since it's just a beneficiary, we don't require that we have that specific person's information. So the system will automatically populate the employee's information under the demographic section. So I'm going to hit done. Now I have both of these people in the system. Now just because they're in here doesn't mean they're actually assigned as beneficiaries to his benefit. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to people, enrollments, go until I'm Patrick Cooper. And in order to edit or modify this life insurance, first have to get to the effective date. So this person hasn't been hired yet. They're being hired on the 16th. And that also happens to be when their benefits become eligible. So this is a little bit different than how you guys will do it. You should automatically see all these options once you get to the enrollment page. So now I see this life insurance is still here, but I can't do anything with it unless I actually click on the benefit option on the left. So I'm clicking employee life. Now I see I have an action. There's something I can do with this. So what I do is I click this button, and then I hit view change. My change is effective on the same date that the plan is effective, which in this case is October 16th. And as I scroll to the bottom, now I see these beneficiaries that I just added into the system. So in order to assign them, I simply select a designation. In this case, he wants his mother to be a contingent beneficiary. She would get 100%, and his wife is the primary beneficiary, also at 100%. Deduct from payroll, this is automatically selected to no because this is our basic life plan. This is the life insurance plan that is paid for by the company, so that's correct. You always have to enter in a change reason when you're doing an enrollment. So for this purpose, I'm going to select new hire. When you guys are doing it, you're going to be selecting open enrollment. Okay, so now our basic life with our beneficiaries are all set up and scheduled for enrollment. Now, in addition to the basic life and assigning beneficiaries, this person also wants to enroll in medical, dental, vision, and short-term and long-term disability. So I'm going to start with the medical plan. To do that, I'm going to simply click on the Health and Welfare Medical link here on the left. And when I do that, I get my free medical plan option. Now, we have, as you can see, 2 high deductible plans and 1 hybrid plan. Whenever an employee is electing one of these 2 high deductible plans, you will have to also enroll them in the health reimbursement account. It's very important not to forget. So this employee is electing the 2600, 5200 high deductible plan. So I'm going to click View Enroll. It's effective on October 16th, 2007, so that's right. Done. And then this page is going to ask me if he is enrolling just himself and another person, or himself and a whole family. In this case, it's just himself, so I'm selecting employee. It'll show me then the monthly cost for the employee, for the employer, and then the total cost. I scroll down a little ways. Again, we did not enter any dependents for this person, so there are no dependents. Deduct from payroll, that's automatically set to yes. Down here it will show you what the deduction code is, weekly. All of our deductions are weekly. Our pay frequency is always weekly. And this tells me what the deduction amount is. Down here, again, you have to pick a reason. For me, this is a new hire. When you do it, you'll choose open enrollment. And then I hit enroll. And it brings me back to this screen, and now I can see that he is scheduled for the $2,600 high deductible plan. Now, as I mentioned, because he chose a high deductible plan, I do have to add the health reimbursement arrangement. So So my next step is to go there. He's enrolled in a single plan, so I'm going to choose the single plan option. Had he added a spouse or a family member, I would be choosing the 2-person or family member. My example is a single person. I hit view enroll. Again, double check my effective date. Right, hit done. And then when you're adding the HRA, the only thing you have to really change on here is the actual reason as to why you're enrolling. So that takes care of the medical and the health reimbursement account. The next thing is you would like to enroll in a dental plan. So I'm going to check the dental box or click on the dental link. And he has elected the high plan. We have a high plan and a low plan. In this case, we went with the high one. Very similar to the medical enrollment. You just select view enroll, check your date, hit done. Coverage level, again, is employee only. Here's my cost by month. Here's my cost by week. And this is a new hire. Okay, we're moving right along. The next one is vision. He does want to enroll in vision, so I'm going to click action, enroll, done. This is employee only. There are my costs, my weekly deduction, change reason, here's a new hire. Okay, so we've done medical, we've done HRA, we've done dental, and we've done vision. Now, this employee in particular that I'm enrolling has chosen to waive the FSA enrollment. So I'm not going to actually enroll him, but I'll just quickly show you what it would look like had he chosen it. So you just click on the product. Very similar to everything else, you click view enroll, your effective date, and then here you can either put in what they want to contribute on a weekly basis, or if they give you an annual amount, you can change this drop down to per year. So if I say I want to do $1,000 in my FSA account next year, I would put in 1,000, and then once you do that, it'll convert, it'll divide that amount by 52 weeks for open enrollment purposes, and down here it'll show you what the weekly amount is. If an employee tells you they want to do $20 a week, you can put in 20, and then just make sure that this is set to per pay period. Pretty simple. And then the same process for the change reason, and then you would hit enroll. So this is for the health and savings account, FSA healthcare. The max is $2,600 for the year, and the minimum is $150 for the year. It's for that health FSA. If someone wants to enroll in the dependent care FSA, the max is $5,000 for the year, and the minimum is $150,000 for the year. The process is exactly the same. When I go to employee life, which is my next one on the list here, this person has waived all of the voluntary life for both himself, his spouse, and his child. So he's only, we're only doing the free to the employee basic life plan in this case. So I can skip all 3 of those. If he were electing them, let's say he were electing child life, in order for him to elect child life, he would have to enroll in the voluntary life. He would also have to have a child listed as his dependent. Same with spouse. His spouse would have to be listed as a dependent, and he would have to enroll in the voluntary employee life. Employees cannot enroll in just voluntary spouse and voluntary child. They have to also, for themselves, choose this coverage. Okay, next on the list is short-term disability. This one is also a little bit tricky. So the reason it's tricky is because, first of all, as you can see, you have to expand this line here, move it over to the right to actually show you the coverage levels that are available. So that's step number 1. Number 2 is employees cannot elect a coverage level that is greater than 60% of their normal annual salary. So if I were to go back to the home page here, and I were to open up the Morgan Community Benefit Guide, this guide is going to show you a chart with, this is short-term disability, with the minimum annual salary and the coverage level. So if an employee says, I want to enroll in the $400 a week short-term disability benefit, you would have to double check that their annual salary does not exceed what's listed in the minimum annual salary. So if I'm an employee and I only make $25,000 a year, the most I could enroll for short-term disability would be this $200 coverage level. Another example, if I make $50,000 a year, the most I could choose would be then the $500 weekly benefit. The long-term disability is basically the same, except it's a monthly benefit, but the minimum annual salary works the same way. So again, if I make $50,000 a year, I can only enroll in up to $2,500 monthly benefit. And then to see the deduction, you would have to find the employee's age bracket and then scroll, go down to what the coverage level is that they're choosing, and that would be their weekly deduction. Even though this is a monthly benefit, long-term disability, it's still a weekly deduction. Same with the short-term disability, it's a weekly benefit, weekly deduction. So to go back to the employee, obviously you want to probably double check what their salary actually is. So to do that, you would click People, Employment Profile, just quickly double check that you're on the correct person that you're enrolling. So again, I'm doing Patrick Cooper. So here over on the right-hand side, I can see what his annual salary is. So in this case, Patrick wants to enroll in the $1,000 monthly benefit for long-term disability, and he has also chosen the $300 weekly benefit for short-term disability. Now, if I go back to here, I see he's actually not eligible for that coverage amount. So I'm just going to automatically assume he does want the benefit, he's just not going to be eligible for the $300. Therefore, I'm going to put him in the $200 coverage level. And obviously, since you'll be on the phone with these people, this is something that you can explain to them as you're going. So, as I said, I'm going to choose short-term disability. Again, I have to move this over so I can see the amounts. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to pick the $200 coverage level. Click View and Roll. Now, on this page, you just kind of basically just choose that again, and it'll tell you the monthly cost to the employee, and it'll also tell you their weekly cost for their deduction from their paycheck. Change reason. For me, this is a new hire. Hit Enroll. Okay, and then the last benefit that's on my list here is long-term disability. Similar to short-term disability, I have to move this bar over to see my coverage options. Be careful, because if you don't move it over enough, you could accidentally select the 10,000 when you really only need to select 1,000. So just make sure you move this over far enough so that you can see the full amounts. And in this case, this employee is electing the $1,000 coverage level. Again, I just pick that again. There's my cost, my reason, and I hit Enroll. So that is pretty much it as far as enrolling in ADP. I know you'll be going over to the claim site to do the accident and critical illness insurance. But as far as the ADP enrollment portion goes, this is pretty much it. Once you're all done, it shows you the summary. It lists everything that they've elected. You can review that with them. At the bottom, it gives you their total weekly deduction amount. Another thing you could do is there's a benefit statement. I don't know, I guess you can't do that. But you can also remind them that they have full access to log into ADP Workforce Now themselves and to go online and review their benefits as well. One more additional reminder would be, again, if they're enrolling in the short-term disability or long-term disability for the first time, they will have to complete that evidence of insurability form, which is found under the resources and forms library. Or if they were electing voluntary life insurance that is higher than the guaranteed issue amount, they would also need to do the evidence of insurability form. If someone is enrolled from disability already, they are allowed to do one step up in coverage levels. So like, for example, this person could go up to $300 per week as long as their salary allows it. So you still have to double check and make sure that their salary is within range of that. All right, I think that will about cover it. Wish you best of luck, and please let us know if there's any questions.
Okay. So there it is for your reference. Amy, when enrollers, if enrollers are enrollers able to log in now? Is there like a test environment where they could navigate through, or a test employee they could navigate through at this point, or no?
There's not a test employee, but they could log in and pretty much just look at any employee and just see, you know, as long as they're not changing anything, they can kind of just see where things are and what it looks like.
Okay. So let's just be super careful that we don't change anything for anyone.
I would definitely get familiar with like the home page and the resources and the forms library.
Mm-hmm.
So they know where to find stuff. Also adding dependents and beneficiaries.
So when we finish, like in this example, we finish Patrick Cooper here, he's finished. You just go to all employees and go search the next one from here.
Yep, you just type in the last name, click on the person you want. Like I mentioned, they'll probably want to double check the social security number. Make sure they have the right person.
Okay. So even if they were actually waiving everything, they would still go in here and go through that process, just like an enrollment, right?
No, so the second video I uploaded shows them how to waive a benefit.
Okay, let's look at that then.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Hi everyone, in this demo I'm going to show you what it looks like for somebody that is waiving all of their benefits. Once again, I'm going to click the admin login screen, type in my user page. Now in this example I'm going to show you an employee that has chosen to waive all of their benefits. However, they are still going to be automatically enrolled in the employer-paid basic life insurance plan. So the first thing I'm going to do here is click People, and then Enrollments, and I'm going looking for, and this person's last name is A-N-S-I-S. Oh, I guess that's the first name. Santana is the last name. So I'm selecting that person. And as you can see, the basic life is automatically elected and enrolled for. However, there's no beneficiary information. So just like in the first demo, I'm going to go to People, and then under Benefits, I'm going to select Dependents and Beneficiaries. And this person has elected their daughter as a beneficiary, so I'm going to click Add. beneficiary only. Continue. The first name is Mia. Last name is Santana. Daughter. Going to hit done. This is the only beneficiary they have listed, so that's all I need to do on this page. So now I go back to the benefits and enrollments page. I have to get to the effective date on this section so that I have these links available to me. And I have to click on Employee Life. Again, this one is already selected. Now I just need to change it to add the beneficiary to it. Change is effective on the day of the plan, the 16th. I scroll down, there's the dependent, or beneficiary, that I just entered in. I'm going to just choose primary, as primary beneficiary to receive 100%. This is a new hire. I hit done. So, as I stated before, this person does not want any other insurance. So I simply just need to put into the system that he is waiving his insurance plans. So up here on these little links, there's one that says waived plans. I need to click that. And again, because this person has not yet been hired, I do have to just go to the date when they are going to be hired and their benefits are effective, which is on the 16th of October. And now this shows me all of the benefit options. Now, you could go through every single one and select a reason as to why they're waiving it. For the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to show you how you do that. So I'm just going to choose the medical plan because really this is the main one we're concerned with as to why people are waiving. So once I chose that plan, I'm going to select my effective date, which is the 16th of October, and then the waive reason. So for this example, he elected that he feels the plan is too expensive. So I'm going to choose too expensive. Now, when you're doing this, if someone gives you a reason that's not on this list, I would just choose do not want to be insured. People might give you a variety of reasons, and if nothing fits into either of these, you can just simply choose does not want to be insured. It's kind of the generic reason. Okay, so once you've done that, you just hit done, and then it'll tell you that the record has been saved successfully. Now if I want to go back to my enrollments, I just go to people, and then enrollments. You'll notice nothing on this page looks any different, but if I were to go and look at the waived plans, and I have to change the date to view them, I can now see that they did, they were in fact offered the plan, however they decided to waive it. All right, that was in short summary the last thing I wanted to show you. Mainly the biggest thing you would need to waive in the system is the medical plan. Due to Affordable Care Act, we do have to show that we offered the plan, even if they waive it. If you want to go through and waive all of them, if they are electing to waive everything, that would be fine as well, too. Thank you.
Okay, so the how to enroll and how to waive coverage. Pretty simple. Does anyone have any questions about navigation of the system? You should at least watch this video twice. Attempt to log in. I want you to attempt to log in so that if you cannot, you can notify me immediately that you can't. And as Amy said, you can navigate around to at least view, what the screen looks like and how to click around. And I guess that's it. We went way over our time. Sorry about that. But we definitely needed to cover all of this material. Amy, anything else?
I don't believe so. How much time is allotted for each employee to do their enrollment?
30
I'm
minutes.
curious. 30 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, great.
And so you had a new hire there. If we have a current employee, which they're all going to be current employees, their benefits will already be there, displayed. So it's
Right.
It's just up
Unless
to
they've waived them.
modify,
Yeah.
change whatever they're going to change.
Medical, HRA, and FSA are active enrollments.
Yes.
The dental, life, and disability are all passive. So if they don't want to change anything with those particular benefits, you don't need to do anything.
So yeah, let's say that again. So medical, HRA, and FSA, if they are elected, you have to go in and reselect those. If they have it, if they have an FSA contribution today, it's not going to roll over. You have to go in and elect their new amount.
Right.
So it's important to at least do those three. Okay, good. So I recorded this entire thing, so I'll save the recording, get a link out to everybody for future reference, like I always do. And Julie, anything from you before we dismiss?
No, I think you guys covered everything. Thanks for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, thanks everyone. Have
Thank
a good
you.
day, and as always, call me with any questions.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Sure.
Thank you.